Good morning, good afternoon, Way Cool Cooking School friends and families. My name is Chef Mary, and I am one of the chefs here at the Way Cool Cooking School. It is 12 o'clock on Thursday, which means during this time, we are doing our live cooking lesson that goes with this week's kit. This week's kit is Let's Make Dinner. So in the kit, we put together everything that you need to make gnocchi, Caesar salad, and lemon bar tarts. And so we're gonna show you guys how to make those today at home. If you did not get a kit this week, that's okay. We have a new kit coming up for next week, a very fun baking kit that we'll show you here in a little while. But you can still play along because all of these ingredients and all of these lessons are items that you either maybe have at home lying around that we're thinking about new creative ways to use ingredients that you have from your pantry, or ingredients that are still easily accessible to get as well. And so we are going to walk through the menu here today and show you how to make these cool things. And a lot of these have some awesome kind of at-home kitchen hacks so that you can make this 3-course meal, gnocchi, salad, and dessert, and all under an hour for your family and with your family, which is more important, get everybody involved in the kitchen at all ages. This dinner does require some adult supervision, and so we are going to be using the stove today and the oven today and some knives and a cutting board. And so if you are a younger Way Cool chef, make sure that you have a grown-up handy in case you have any questions or any time that you're using something that is dangerous in the kitchen. We just washed our hands, and so it is time for us to get started. So when I throw a dinner party or make dinner, you kind of have to think a little bit backwards because you definitely want to make sure everything gets done at the same time. And so to do that with today's menu, we're going to start with dessert. And dessert's fun anyway, so let's start with the dessert. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create our lemon bar tarts. And so this is a tasty twist on a full pan of lemon bars. And the reason we're doing it in little small tart pans is for a couple reasons. One, they're super cute. And two, because if it's a smaller pan and they cook individually, they're gonna actually take less time in the oven than if you were gonna create an entire bar of lemon bars. And so to do that, we have 2 components to a lemon bar. There's the crust and then there's the filling. So we're gonna do the crust first. And the crust actually gets pre-cooked for a little while in the oven before you add the filling on top of it. So we're gonna be ping-ponging between desserts and sides as we kind of cook everything and make everything come together today. For our crust, you are gonna need a medium-sized bowl. These are individual tarts, and so we're gonna make 2 individual tarts that are gonna serve 4 people. So we're thinking like a half a tart per person. It's a lot of tart, you'll see. The other things that you're gonna need is you're gonna need 1/4 of a cup of softened butter. The fact that it's softened is important because we need to incorporate it into some other crust ingredients. And if it's too hard, your crust will turn into more of a pie dough than a bar, like a bar type of dough. And then the third thing you're gonna need is you're gonna need your lemon tart crust ingredients. And so in this bag, I have some flour and some sugar. And so if you're following around here, we have got 2 tablespoons of sugar in here and a 1/2 cup of flour. 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1/2 cup flour. All right, and we're just gonna dump that into the base of our bowl. So this is what I call a crumbly crust because it isn't gonna be a uniform dough like we talked about, like the pie dough. It's gonna have kind of a granular sand texture to it. And there's a few ways that you can get this achieved. And so once we've got our dry stuff in the bowl, I'm gonna just shake it so you can see it's all mixed up there for us, the sugar and the flour. And you wanna make sure you don't have all the sugar in one spot either, because then it won't be uniform in the flavor and texture. Then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna add in my 1/4 of a cup of softened butter. And so I'm just gonna kind of flick that butter into the mixture. If you have, ding, it's dinner time. If you have 2 forks, you can take and you can actually start to like smush the butter and kind of stomp on the butter into the flour, and it's gonna end up flaking and covering the little sugar. The sugar and the flour are gonna wrap and smash around all of that softened butter that's in there, and I just keep smashing back and forth with my forks to achieve this. You can also use your fingers for this. The reason I'm not today is 1, it makes you kind of messy, and we've got other stuff to do today that I wanna show you without buttery fingers. But 2, the other thing is I have what we call at the Way Cool Cooking School, lava hands. My hands are always really, really warm, and if I use my fingers for projects like this, the butter melts right away and gets very greasy, and then I'll have a greasy crust and not a crumbly crust that I want. So this fork technique is really handy for me and if you have warm hands. So if you're cooking with a buddy today, and we really want you to kind of feel out your cooking buddy's finger temperature and make sure if they have really warm hands, this is the technique for you. If you have really icicle fingers, and I know that there's some of you out there, you get right in there with your clean fingers and you can kind of just like break the butter apart and get it in the bowl and get it so it's all covered. The texture that we're looking here is what they call a coarse crumb texture. And that is where in a lot of cookbooks and a lot of recipes, they'll say that you want the butter to be like the size of a pea. If you're using a fork, your butter isn't gonna round up like the way it is when it uses your fingers. It's gonna kind of turn into flakes. And so I'm gonna set one of my forks down here and we're gonna do an extreme close-up so you can kind of see that texture, how the butter is flaking in the bowl and wrapping around the flour and the sugar and mixing it all in there. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my fork and I'm spinning the bowl as I go to make sure that I don't have any huge butter chunks. And I just have some little ones in here. It looks like we've got a couple people tuning in, so this is fantastic. Make sure that you can like write comments, say hi. I'll definitely give shout outs back. We have a lot of cool, way cool families that have been very supportive of this and with these kits. Shout out to my little chef Juliet watching along right now with Mama Jillian. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Shout out to Eric. It's so nice to see you here watching today. All right, and I see some hearts flying up, so that's awesome. Thank you guys so much as we kind of do this together from home, cooking dinner. Okay, now I've got crumbly flakes inside of the bowl with all of my things. So the next thing I need to do is we need to pre-bake this crust. And so to do that, we're gonna take and we're gonna grab our little small tart pans. The kit today came with 2 individual tart pans, which I'm gonna grab because I put them by the oven because I know they need to go to the oven. And so I'm gonna grab those real quick. I know you can still hear me because my voice is really, really loud. I was never going to be a librarian when I grew up. I knew that from a very small age. All right, I've got my dough ready to go. And I've got my 2 individual, I would say they're probably like 4-inch tart pans. These are bakeable bakeware, but also disposable tart pans. So you can pop them right in the oven. You don't need to grease them. Love these. They are available online. Like web restaurant, you can buy them by the thousands. But if you don't plan on making 1,000 tarts, you can also find them at places like Home Goods and TJ Maxx. And I know a lot of those places are doing online, and they come way cuter than Kitchen Brown too. They're like all sorts of fun things. All right, so now I'm gonna take and I'm gonna divide my crust mixture evenly between these 2 tart pans here. And I'm not measuring so much as I'm just eyeballing it. Because sometimes that's fun in the kitchen, you know? You got a bowl? The more you practice cooking, the more comfortable you get with like unmeasuring, because you've seen a half a cup so many times that you're like, yeah, that's about a half a cup. And that's kind of a fun way to learn how to become a more natural cook in your kitchen too, is that when you're asked like to add a tablespoon of salt or something to something, in your brain, think about what a tablespoon might be, pour it in your hand and see if it's a real tablespoon. It's a really fun game to play with kids in the kitchen too, to see who can get like the closest to a tablespoon without going over. It's kind of with either like water or like sand or salt, not sand, but salt in the kitchen. I'm gonna take my finger here and I'm gonna wipe this off. Now this part you cannot do with, you really want to get your fingers in for this next part. So what we're going to do is I'm going to smash the crust into the tart pans. And I'm going to take and I'm just going to use my fingers and smash it in so that it's nice and compact in that pan. And your fingers are going to get buttery. It is going to happen. And we're just going to wipe them off. So my trick always is to have 2 towels always ready to go, a wet damp towel for wiping my fingers and a dry towel for damping my fingers if you are like kind of in the middle of steps and you don't have the time and you don't need to go wash your hands. And I'm gonna take and I'm gonna do the same thing for the other one and smash that crust in. So this is kind of fun too, because this is where you add the love. This is where you add the love in baking, because no 2 tarts are ever gonna look the same depending on whose fingers are pressing the love into the tart pans. And so everyone becomes your own signature press in there. As I'm pressing, the dough is kind of coming up the edges of the tart pan, and that's okay, because that's what's gonna create the lip for the filling to fill in once we add the filling into our tart pan too. Okay. Step one of tarts is done. So we're gonna take and we're gonna pop those onto our baking tray here and into our preheated 350-degree oven. And so while I'm doing that, if you're following along live, this is when you can do that too. Also, this is where you want to wipe off your fingers. And so I'm just gonna pass this over here for Chef Lynn, and she's gonna put that in there. Okay. The next part of our pie dough, and this dough only takes about 10 minutes in the oven to preset before we add our filling in. And so I'm not gonna jump to another recipe. I'm gonna go ahead and jump right to the filling. And I'm gonna move and kind of clear off my cutting board here of my dough that got all over my cutting board and move this out of the way. And then we're gonna talk about the filling for this. So this filling it's a tart filling. And so its consistency is flour, sugar, an egg, and some lemon juice. And we're gonna mix those all together. And we're gonna create kind of a lemon curd that's gonna bake. Now, if you were regularly making lemon curd, or if you wanted a really quick hack and you had some lemon curd at home, you can dump that lemon curd right into your pie dough and you're done. Throw it back in the oven, you got lemon bars. Or lime curd, or a grapefruit curd, or orange curd, or any kind of filling that you wanna put in there. Once you get your crust done, you can put that pre-made filling on top and put it back in the oven and bake that off, which is so cool because you could have blueberry tarts and strawberry tarts and any kind of tart that you like. If you wanna use something at home, which a lot of us have at home if you don't have lemon curd at home, I know I don't have lemon curd at home ready to go, is if you take like strawberry or raspberry or even grape jam, and you add probably for every cup of jam or jelly, add a tablespoon of cornstarch and stir it up before you put it into the oven. That turns your jams and jellies into a pie filling that'll set up and get thicker also. And so that's kind of a cool things you have lying around the house, way to make some yummy desserts too. For our filling, we have got our sugar and our flour in our filling pouch, and we're gonna take and we're gonna open that up and we're gonna dump that into another clean medium-sized bowl. And by medium-sized bowl, I mean a bowl that holds probably about 2 quarts or 8 cups. 8 cups to me is a medium-sized bowl. Anything more than that, I would consider a large bowl. And if you don't have a medium bowl, get the large bowl. Don't go for the small bowl. It just makes things messier and harder to work with. The other thing I'm going to do is we are going to crack an egg into this, and the egg is going to be what helps thicken it up and also give it a little tiny bit of lift, a little poof when it's in the oven, and help it all hold together. Eggs a lot of times in cooking are used kind of as the glue to bind everything together. And the reason for that is that eggs have protein. And so protein binds things. And this is kind of good to know when you're creating and making things. This is why eggs are used in things like meatloaf and sometimes in hamburgers, because it's a glue and it glues things together. All right, so we're gonna crack our egg. Cracking the egg is super fun. Remember to crack it enough so that you can see a definite crack in the middle of your egg. And you wanna see like maybe a little bit of the egg white or like the egg jelly a little bit on it. And so when I hold my egg, I hold it using the Lego man technique with my Lego man fingers. And I'm gonna crack it right in the center of the egg on my little egg cracking bowl. Not on the big bowl because I don't wanna get any egg like shells into my filling. So I'm just gonna give it a hi-ya, hi-ya. And I'm gonna dig my thumbs, use my little egg diggers here, and I'm gonna dig them into the egg, and I'm gonna open that egg up, make sure that there's no shells in there. Oh, I did a good job. And hey, I've cracked thousands of eggs, but sometimes you get eggshells. It happens. And don't freak out if that happens. If you get an eggshell in your egg, don't panic. Use the bigger part of the eggshell and you can dip it into the egg bowl and it attracts like a magnet so that you can pull that eggshell out of the bowl and then you don't have to start over with a new egg. All right, I'm gonna add my egg into my filling mixture. There we go. And I'm gonna take and I'm gonna pop the yolk and I'm gonna stir that egg I'm gonna add the glue into our filling. And I'm incorporating this all in right now with the sugar and the flour in there. So this is like your base. This is your base where you could choose now at this stage whether you wanted it to be lime filling or if you wanted it to be orange filling. I love playing around with oranges. Oranges are one of my favorite baking and cooking ingredients. I talk about them all the time. I love orange juice. I love the flavor and the smell of oranges and the different types of oranges. And so that's a really good way to add a new flavor to this. And oranges pair really well with spices. So like a nice like grown-up version of this would be to like add fresh orange juice and then add some cardamom and nutmeg and cinnamon into the filling, and you'd have this really kind of cool like North African Spanish orange tart, which would be super, super good. So there's always fun ways that you can kind of adapt recipes with the flavor profiles depending on what you're making today. We actually chose lemon today and to go with our menu because lemons are like synonymous or always like go with Italian cooking. And because it's kind of a Mamma Mia day with our gnocchi and our Caesar salad, lemons seem like the right thing to pair it with. And so lemons come and are grown in the southern part of Italy, not so much the northern part where it's cold, kind of like Minnesota in the winter times. But on the southern part of Italy, on the Mediterranean, you're rarely not going to find restaurants and menus that don't have some kind of lemon aspect to them on the menu, because it's just kind of part of the food culture because they grow there. All right, juicing a lemon. When you cut a lemon to juice, you want to cut it kind of along its equator in the center, the same place where you would crack an egg. If you cut it this way, you're not going to get as much juice out of it as if you were to cut it this way. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold my knife to meet you, as safely as possible. I'm going to meet my knife and hold my knife, and then I'm going to use my other hand like a claw, and I'm going to hold the lemon in place so that we do not cut our fingers. And so I'm going to look at what I'm doing. Always look at what you're doing with a knife. And I'm going to cut straight down through the lemon to give me 2 halves of a lemon. And then I'm going to grab my juicer. This I grabbed on purpose. We have machine juicers here. We have cool clamp press juicers here. But most kitchens, if you have a juicer, you at least have one of these juicers, which has a basin to collect the lemon juice in, and it has a top that you can compress the lemon and squeeze the juice out of it, and a little grate that catches the pulp. If you do not have a juicer at home, a cool trick that I have found is you take and you hold the lemon over your clean fingers, and you can juice it right into what you're doing, and catch the seeds in your fingers as you go. All right, I'm gonna press down. All of that, like any anxiety you might have, you can just like get in there and get all the juice out of your lemon and squeeze that around. Now, the best part about having a cooking or a baking buddy is that while you're squeezing and making the filling, your baking buddy has noticed that your tarts are starting to smell really good in the oven, and they're looking golden brown on the edges, and she takes them out of the oven for you. And so that is another reason to have a good cooking buddy, is that so you can kind of switch off jobs and go, you're in charge of the crust today, I'm in charge of the filling, to make sure that everything kind of comes together. And so we've got those done. I've got my lemon juice here. Now, we're not gonna use all of this lemon juice, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour half of it into a clean cup, which I have right here, and I'm gonna pour half of it in there. Is that about half? That's about half. If you really love very lemony things, you can add all of it in. Add the whole lemon in, that's fine. If you really, really love lemony things and you have a zester or a cheese grater, before you juice the lemon, zest the lemon into your filling too, and that'll give it like that intense lemony smell. That's super, super good. Okay, we're gonna add this into here, and I'm gonna stir this up. Now, if we let this sit too long, the acid in the lemon juice is actually gonna start to cook and cure the egg. Kind of like if you've ever heard of ceviche, where lemon juice is used to cook shrimp in seafood dishes. We do not want that to happen. So once you add the lemon juice, it's kind of a quick step. It goes straight from here into our tarts. And so we've got our 2 tart pans right here. Thank you, thank you. And I'm gonna take and I'm gonna just pour this evenly into our 2 tart pans so we can pop those back into the oven, and they only need to go into the oven for about 10 minutes. And so there is no magic of TV here. We got 10 minutes. We're gonna just pop them in the oven and take them out in about 10 minutes. And so the pans now themselves are not hot, so don't worry, I'm not burning my fingers. But we're gonna move those and put those onto the baking pan here, and we're gonna pop those back into the oven. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna use my wet towel and wipe my fingertips off, just because I got some lemon juice on there. And then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna put all of the things that I needed for my lemon tarts out of the way. This is kind of something that takes a while to learn, but I really, really encourage people to like clean as you go. It makes such a huge difference that when you go ready to start your next project, you've got a nice clean space happening. Hey, Hello from Savannah. Beth, thanks so much for watching today. Hi to Lynn, or as I call her, Lino. She's my Lino. And hi, of course, to my mama. Thank you so much for tuning in today and watching. I'm gonna flip my cutting board over, back to what we're doing, to the clean side of the cutting board. So we're all clean, ready to go. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make our Caesar salad. I love Caesar salads. There's something like just so great about all of like the flavor that's packed into the dressing. The other part that I really, really like about them, and I think is always kind of a funny story to tell, is that Caesar salads are from Mexico and not from Italy. Fun fact. Yeah, so it turns out that Caesar had a restaurant named Caesar's in Mexico, and that is where the salad comes from. It comes from an Italian restaurant, but it comes from Mexico. But it traveled through Baja California to America, and it became really, really popular. And rumor has it, it's because Frank Sinatra and his crew, the Rat Pack, used to hang out in Mexico and have the Caesar salad, and then Italian restaurants started offering it everywhere. And now, when you walk into an Italian restaurant, you just expect a Caesar salad on the menu, like you expect it there. And so that's kind of cool. And what makes this great, and what Caesar's story is so awesome, is much like in the restaurant world, when you run out of something, you make do and you make something new. And I think that that's a really great mentality to have in your own kitchen. If you run out of something, make do with what you have and you can make something new. And that's usually how the coolest recipes come to be also. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab all of our like make do ingredients that Caesar had laying around his restaurant, and we're gonna make our own Caesar dressing today. Okay, next up, Caesar dressing. And so for this, I have in my container here, I have some mayonnaise and I have some Dijon. Now, this is my kitchen hack for this, because traditional Caesar dressing would have you be making your own mayonnaise using an egg yolk and stirring it and agitating it with acid and salt and then incorporating oil into it. That's mayonnaise. There's your quick boot camp on how to make mayonnaise. But because we don't have time for that in an hour, maybe you don't have time for that. If you do, make your own mayonnaise. It tastes delicious. But if you don't, you can use mayonnaise. That's fine. If you are a Miracle Whip family, it ain't gonna hurt to use Miracle Whip. That's okay. Use Miracle Whip too. All right, I'm gonna take the lid off of this. The other thing that I have in there is a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And that is a really great flavor, that mustard flavor that's also in, when you're making homemade mayonnaise, it's in homemade mayonnaise a lot too. And it's kind of like that, just like awesome, really punchy flavor that's gonna help flavor this dressing. Caesar dressing is not like a thin dressing. If you think of like Italian dressing, that's like an olive oil base. This is what they call a thick emulsification dressing, which means that like we do not want this to separate when we get it made. And it's not going to unless it would sit in your fridge for a very, very long time. And because this is fresh, and if you make this ahead of time, you certainly can, but it's not gonna last in your fridge as long as a bottle of Caesar dressing is, because we've got a lot of fresh ingredients that are gonna go in here. And so we wanna make sure that we eat it probably in like 3 to 5 days. Okay, so I've got the mayonnaise and the Dijon in there. The other thing we're going to add is we're going to add some really cool flavor ingredients here. We're gonna add some lemon juice and we're gonna add some Worcestershire sauce. Very fun word to say. And the Worcestershire sauce is kind of my next hack, because traditionally Caesar dressing has anchovies in it. Anchovies, little fishies. And so I have actually in my house a tube of anchovy paste, because what it does is it kind of acts as a very salt additive when you're cooking, and you're cooking like Southern Italian food. It works really, really well to add like that extra little flavor, kind of the way that you add fish sauce to like Thai cooking. Anchovy paste is a great way to add that kind of extra bump when you're making Italian cooking. But if you don't have anchovies at home and you're a grill person, you probably have Worcestershire sauce at home. A lot of homes do, because a lot of traditional Midwest recipes call for like a tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna see how many times I can say that word correctly or somewhat correctly before my like brain just stops. I'm gonna add that in and add it in there. And the Worcestershire sauce is cool because it actually has anchovies in it, right? It's already in there. It's totally in there with all of the other like secret flavors and salt and stuff that makes it taste good. And I'm gonna incorporate the two together. And so incorporating is a cool cooking term that I love, because it's like, it's one of those moments where like magic happens. You take two separate ingredients and you incorporate them together to make one new thing that can't be undone. You did something that can't be undone. That is cool. That is the power of cooking. To me, it just, every time that you have like that moment is just great for me. So there's our magic moment. We add those flavors in. We're incorporating them. They're in there. I can't take the mayonnaise out of anymore. I can't take the Worcestershire sauce out anymore. It's in there. The other thing that we're gonna add to this is we're gonna add some seasoning to this, and we're gonna add some garlic to this. So I've got some Parmesan, I got some Italian seasoning, I got, all of these little wonder flavors, salt and pepper that's gonna go in there. And I'm gonna take, and it came in a little pouch in your kit, and so I'm gonna dump that in there. If you do not have a kit and you're like writing things down, I hope you're not writing things down. Like, we've got this recipe for you. If you need it, call us, we got it for you. But what we've got in here is probably, it's like a tablespoon of Parmesan cheese, what?
It's the grated Parmesan.
Grated Parmesan cheese,
Yes.
yeah. The most kidly Parmesan cheese, the one that comes in the green can. If you don't have the green can, you can use other Parmesan cheese, that's fine. We use the most kidly Parmesan cheese here for this project. I like it in the dressing because it's ground so fine that it mixes really well in with the dressing, so like that part makes sense to me. And then the salt and pepper that's in there. So I'm gonna take, and I'm gonna stir those in there, that's in there. Oh yeah, it's starting to smell like Caesar in here. All right, I actually don't know what Caesar smells like the guy, because like whatever, but it's starting to definitely smell like Caesar dressing, which is really good. Okay, the other thing we've got is this garlic clove. So I'm gonna set this bowl off to the side here for just a second. And you can do this either like at the beginning, at the end, whenever, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna take and I'm gonna peel this off here. The little peel that was left on it, I'm gonna peel that off. And then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna chop this up very finely. So again, I'm gonna grab a paring knife, and I'm gonna take and I'm gonna cut the end of the garlic off. So like that little brown part at the end, I'm gonna cut that off because I don't want that in my salad dressing. And just discard that, kind of discard it itself and flung across. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut it into little pieces and mince it. And so this is great. I'm gonna use my claw and I'm gonna first cut it down, and I'm gonna cut it into thin slices. And then I'm gonna take those thin slices and pile them up and cut them into little thin strips, or like very little baby matchsticks. And then I'm gonna take my paring knife and I'm gonna pile them all up, and I'm gonna take the heel of my hand to be safe and always know where your fingers are so you're not cutting your fingers. And I'm gonna take and I'm just gonna smash on top of that garlic and keep smashing until it is in little tiny pieces. Because you don't want a gigantic piece of garlic in your salad dressing and eat a big old piece of garlic. Or maybe you do, I don't know, I'm not judging. And we're gonna take and we're gonna keep smushing and smashing. Now, some cool tricks for this. If you are having trouble mincing your garlic and getting it as small as you want, and we're just gonna keep going as I talk, you can add a little bit of salt right on top of your minced garlic. And what that does is kind of acts as like a sandpaper or like a grinder to help break down the garlic a little bit more. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is to take your knife, and instead of cutting straight down, as you kind of cut, bend your knife, like roll back a little bit. And as you do that, you're gonna take and you're gonna start to kind of smash that garlic into a paste and mince it up too. Okay, we've got little tiny pieces of garlic that we are gonna add into our dressing. So I'm just gonna take and I'm gonna scoop those up. When you're scooping on a cutting board, you wanna take and not scoop with the knife side, but scoop with the back of the side, because if you scrape your knife blade over the cutting board over and over and over again, you're gonna dull that knife, and dull knives are unsafe knives. And so I turn my knife blade over, and I'm just gonna take and I'm gonna pour that into my hand and bam that into the dressing. And I'm gonna move that off to the side and stir that in. That's it. There's Caesar dressing. I'm done. And so for that dressing, you can take it, if you're not gonna eat it right away, you can stick it in the refrigerator, you can stick it in a small container. Like I said, it'll last about 3 to 5 days in your refrigerator. After that, like the lemon juice and the garlic and the oils that are in there and the mayonnaise kind of get a little funky. And so after that, I would just get rid of it. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna prepare our lettuce and our croutons for this. So we've got a baguette here, a little demi baguette, a little tiny guy. And this will be enough for sure for croutons for a family of 4. And so you can buy like the little loaves of bread. If you have leftover bread at home, or like a half a loaf of French bread, or some bread that's like getting kind of dry, I stick my bread when it gets kind of like, this ain't sandwich bread anymore, I stick it right in the freezer so that when I do need things like croutons and want to make them homemade, I can pull that from the freezer, defrost it a little bit, and then it doesn't matter if it's dry because I'm going to toast it in the oven too. Okay. So I'm gonna take and I'm just gonna cut this into probably 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch chunks or cubes. If you don't wanna use a knife and you have little fingers at home, this is completely acceptable. That's called a rustic crouton, and you can do it that way. If you want to kind of work on your knife skills, if you take your baguette and leave it a little bit frozen, this is where you can take and you can cut very small, what they call brunoise, baby croutons that are like a 1/16 of an inch by a 1/16 of an inch. And that's a really good way to test and practice your knife skills as well. So I'm just kind of taking it and I'm taking these and I'm cutting them up into, like I said, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch pieces. Now your kit also, all of this stuff came in a Ziploc bag, and I threw my Ziploc bag away already. So Chef Lynn, can I have a Ziploc bag? Thank you. And we're gonna do something commonly known as shake and bake. And so we're gonna take these crunchy pieces of crouton in our bread, and we're gonna pour them back into our Ziploc bag. This is super fun. And this is something that, like, if you are making dinner as a family, that I know a lot of you are, we're gonna take and this is a great job for the little chefs in your house that can be in charge of the crouton shaking. We're gonna add some olive oil, and I'm just gonna drizzle that right on top of the bread there. And then I'm gonna take my little pouch of crouton seasonings. And so this is equal parts of Italian seasonings and garlic salt. And this is what makes for a super tasty, delicious crouton. So they're seasoned croutons. Do you need to add all of that into your croutons to make croutons? No. You do need to put them in with some olive oil so that they actually toast in the oven and they don't just burn. We're gonna take these and we're gonna shake them and get them all covered with our Italian seasonings and our olive oil. And then we're gonna take and we're gonna dump them onto a baking sheet. And we're gonna pour them right onto the baking sheet. Ooh, it's a nice toasted warm baking sheet because we use the same baking sheet as our tarts, which have come out of the oven, which we'll reveal in a little bit because it's been that 10 minutes. We've got that. Okay, now I'm gonna take and I'm gonna brush off my cutting board again from the bread that I used and cut that up. I'm gonna move the stuff I don't need out of the way. And then we're gonna talk about lettuce and we're gonna cut. So traditionally, Caesar salad is served with a romaine lettuce. And the reason why is because romaine, it's like sturdy. And so it's gonna hold up to the sturdy dressing. If you use a lighter, like a Bib lettuce or like a delicate like spinach to make Caesar, it's not that it wouldn't taste good, it totally would, but the dressing is so heavy that it kind of weighs down that delicate leaf and doesn't like have the correct texture that you're looking for in a Caesar dressing. Quick couple of people signed on saying hi. Hey Shannon, how are you today? I hope you're having a great day. Hi Val, how are you? And Mr. Bodie. All right, this part we do not want to eat. My rule for salads, when you make them at home or when you make them for your family or when you make them for friends, is treat yourself with the same respect you would respect and expect when you go out to eat at a restaurant. And so, would you want this in your salad that you ordered from a restaurant? No, you would not. And so that's what the first thing we're gonna do. Now the other kitchen hack that I have, because this part of the romaine lettuce has very little flavor. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut, instead of cutting straight across, I'm gonna cut because the outer leaves have green that go farther down than even the inner leaves, and I'm gonna cut it like a V. And so what that's gonna do is that it's gonna cut like the core part out that I don't want in the salad. And so we've got that going. So I'm gonna take and I'm just gonna cut my little V into the romaine lettuce. So you can see, there's the shape I'm talking about. And so it cut into the core a little bit so that you have that kind of the inside. This yellow part on the center too can also become really bitter. And if you're not looking to have like that bitter flavor, then that is not what you want in there. And then the other thing to remember is when you're making or cooking with lettuce and any kind of like lettuce that comes whole like this, is that you need to make sure that you wash your lettuce. That's something that we did ahead of time. And so I just want to make sure that and remind you that you should be washing your lettuces. That there's just like ick in there. There's like dirt and stuff. And so you just want to make sure that you wash those off to be safe. Now, I am a gardener and I am self-admitted, have a little bit of a green thumb. And there's been a lot of videos floating around right now and they happen every spring. but you can regrow romaine lettuce by this part. So if you are a little green thumb or want to do a growing experiment in your home, because you know we're kind of like we're looking for things to do, you can actually take and put this in a little cup with some water until you start to see the roots grow, replant it in some soil, and then you can regrow lettuce. It's awesome. It's so cool. All right, romaine lettuce. Depending on how you like your lettuce, some people like romaine in ribbons, some people like it in chunks. You can decide how you want to cut this, but I'm always, no matter how you cut it, gonna use the claw, knife to meet you with my knife. And for this, I'm gonna cut it down into like the square pieces here, right through, there we go. And we're cutting, and we're cutting, and we're cutting. And I cut from the base to the top, because as I move my claw back and I move my fingers back, you're gonna get to the part where, again, floppy, sad lettuce. Don't use floppy, sad lettuce. Just get rid of the floppy, sad lettuce. Throw it in your compost bed. Okay, our bowl of dressing is ready to go. I'm gonna take the whisk out, I'm gonna grab my head of lettuce, and I'm gonna take and I'm gonna put it on top of the dressing in the bowl. And I'm gonna use my fingers, just kind of wiggle that all over the place. There we go. And then I've got my spoon that I made my dressing with, and I'm gonna take and I'm gonna start to stir that up into the dressing. And I'm gonna stick this whole bowl with the dressing and the romaine in the refrigerator until we are ready to eat dinner today. Okay. Our croutons that only take about 5 to 7 minutes in the oven also are also done. So depending on how you're gonna serve this salad, if you're gonna serve it family style, and why not? We're like a family, so let's serve it family style. You can take and you can dump the croutons. Ooh, that smells good. And just make them rain right on top of your salad. If you are concerned about everyone getting the exact same amount of delicious croutons because they're so tasty and no one wants to have not the same amount of croutons, divide your salad out first and then you're gonna go and put the croutons on as you serve the salad in the individual bowls. Okay, we're gonna serve that with tongs later. Delicious, that part is done. Again, ABCs of the kitchen, always be cleaning. And so that you can actually enjoy your dinner and you're not like, oh, there's so many dishes after dinner. So we're gonna move those out of the way. And now, as they say, it is time for the main event. We are gonna make some gnocchi. And so this we saved to last because this is like from start to finish. It's gonna go, we're gonna make the gnocchi, we're gonna make the dough, we're gonna fold out the little gnocchi pillows, we're gonna put them in the boiling water, we're gonna finish them off in some melted butter, and then we're gonna eat dinner because it's dinner time. Okay, I'm gonna move this out of the way so we have a full clean countertop to play with right now. And we're gonna grab the stuff that we need for our gnocchi. This gnocchi requires the large bowl. This is more than a 2-quart bowl. This is probably a 10-cup bowl. So we're gonna add extra stuff to that. We want a lot of room so we can make our dough and make that all come together. First ingredient, instant mashed potatoes. And so this is one of those things, if you have instant mashed potatoes around your house and you're like, I need something to do with these, this is an awesome, awesome quick hack to make the gnocchi. It takes away the time it takes to either bake the potatoes and then scoop all the stuff up and smash them, or if you are, however you're gonna boil the potatoes, however it takes to cook the potatoes, that's 30 minutes. That, like, if you wanna have a whole dinner in under an hour, we don't need to do that part. There are lots of cool gnocchi recipes out there. Find them, play with them. Gnocchi is delicious. This is a really fun way to make gnocchi real fast. So we're gonna take and I'm gonna just rip the top off of this. And so first ingredient I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pour all of my instant potatoes into my large mixing bowl. And then I'm gonna grab, I got 1.5 cups of flour that I'm gonna set to the side. I got 2 eggs to put in there. Again, adds like glue in this recipe also, not just our dessert, but in our gnocchi too. And then I've got some other fun stuff here. I got some Parmesan cheese that we're gonna garnish it with, so I'm gonna put that over by the garnish station. I've got some gnocchi seasonings, and so this is salt and pepper and Italian seasonings that are in there and a little bit of garlic salt. I wanna flavor the potato flakes right away so that the seasoning goes everywhere all the way around. And so we're gonna take and I am going to sprinkle that all over the top. While I'm sprinkling, I'm gonna give a shout out to Diane and her crew. Thanks so much for watching and cooking along with us today. The other thing that we need for this is we need 2 cups of boiling water. So little chefs, young chefs, future amazing master chefs, grab your grown-ups, for the boiling water part. Because whatever you do, the boiling water is going to be real hot. And if you put it in a glass container, that container is going to get real hot too. And so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to grab our 2 cups of boiling water off of the stove that's been boiling. And so this is kind of a fun thing too. Like when you look through all of your recipes and you look at what's happening, if there's any steps that you can do like ahead of time to kind of get them going, that makes actually making the dinner a lot easier and a lot faster. And so before this started, I did start a pot of boiling water, not only to make the gnocchi later, but like a little pot of boiling water so we can add our boiling water into this. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna grab that right now, grabbing my boiling water, pouring it into my liquid measuring cup so I can get it all in there. All right, 2 cups of boiling water, here we go. I'm gonna take and we're gonna pour that into the instant mashed potatoes. And so that's all mixed in there. I'm gonna grab a spoon. It's not require anything high tech. Grab your Silverware drawer and I'm gonna take and I'm just gonna start to mix the instant mashed potatoes and the hot water together. And it's gonna get kind of start to get in like these clusters of potato and start to look like instant mashed potatoes, which is what we want. So I'm gonna take and smush that all the way around. All right, I'm gonna use my same spin the bowl smash technique that I like to do that, okay? And now to this mixture, I'm gonna make a well. And in that well, I'm gonna push the mashed potatoes up to the outside edges of my big bowl. So it looks like this. And in the well is where we're gonna start to make the actual dough and incorporate the potatoes and the flour into the dough. So I'm gonna take and I'm gonna crack my eggs again, and I'm gonna put them in there. As I'm cracking my eggs, it also allows this to cool off a little bit. Water boils at 212 degrees. That's hot. And eggs cook at 140 degrees, which is quite a difference. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take and we're gonna let these kind of, it's steaming and it's cooling a little bit. And I don't wanna mix my eggs in too soon and then have the eggs like scramble inside the mix. So I'm gonna pour them into the base of the well. And I'm gonna take my spoon and I'm just gonna scramble them right in there, okay? Now, the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and I am going to add enough flour to make the dough happen. And so in the kit, that is the pouch that says gnocchi dough 1.5 cups. And then there's another package that says gnocchi dusting 1/2 cup. And so we don't wanna do that. So we're gonna take and we're gonna add this in and we're gonna sprinkle that all the way around the edges of the dough, because the dusting stuff is gonna come when we put it out on the counter here in just a second. All right, I'm gonna start to stir in the middle. And I'm gonna start to slowly let the outsides incorporate into the dough. And so it's all gonna come together in the center of my bowl here. And so as I'm doing this, I'm spinning the bowl, I'm bringing it toward the center of the well, and kneading that all in with my spoon, mixing it all up, okay? As it kind of gets to this like shaggy blobby stage is when you can start to mix the outside edges in. Okay, there we go. And now my dough is also warm, definitely still warm, but it wasn't hot enough to cook the eggs, so that's good. And it also is gonna be just cool enough that I can start to use my fingers for the next part. So I'm gonna scrape my spoon off, get that out of the way, wipe my finger off on this wet towel and then my dry towel that I always have handy, and then I'm gonna get my hands in there and I'm gonna start to knead the dough. And I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna start to press it, and what you want to do, and spin my bowl and press it toward the center, because I want it to come together as one big ball of dough. And so I'm just folding it over on itself and spinning the bowl so that it all kind of turns toward the middle. And as I'm pressing, it's picking up the chunks of dough that are on the bottom of the bowl and kind of pressing in from both sides without me doing as much work. So that's kind of nice. All right, this dough is gonna feel like a very, very warm memory foam pillow when you are finished. Unlike pasta dough though, it doesn't have the same elastic structure, so it's not like when you press into it, it's not going to bounce back like a pasta dough would. It's just gonna be smooshy. All right, one big blob of dough, check. Now I'm gonna take and I'm gonna use the dusting flour and we're gonna dust our counter with the dusting flour. So I'm just gonna shake that all over there. And I'm gonna move my dough into that flour. And I'm gonna kind of create a log shape with it using my hands, because you're gonna wanna do this next part in batches. Otherwise, we can't roll this whole rope out into our gnocchi pillows, or it would be like an 8-foot long gnocchi rope. And so I'm gonna just take a knife here and I'm gonna cut in the center and I'm gonna cut it into 4 even pieces. And I'm gonna move the 3 out of the way. They do not need to be covered because, again, not like pasta dough. This dough is not gonna dry out the same way that regular pasta dough does. And then I'm gonna take and I'm gonna start to shape this last piece here, the one piece I'm gonna work on, into a rope shape. And I do that by gently pressing and rolling back and forth. And depending on how big your gnocchi you'd like to have at the end, this is gonna determine how thin or thick you want your rope to be. So the little gnocchis are kind of cool because they're like little dough pillows or little dumplings. And it's great because most cultures have their own version of gnocchi. And so one of my other favorite ones is the French version, which is made with a pâte à choux dough, which is very similar, except their dough does not have potatoes in it. So what makes gnocchi special is the fact that they use potatoes in their little pillows in their dumplings. Okay. So I've got my rope, and I would say if you're measuring, it's about a 1-inch diameter rope, and it is about 2 feet, 24 inches that way. And so now I'm gonna take my knife and I'm just gonna cut it into 1-inch pieces. And so they're gonna kind of look like giant pieces of Captain Crunch here as I'm cutting through. And because it's a soft dough, this is again something that you could use with a butter knife or a table knife so that this project becomes much safer for smaller fingers as well. I'm gonna push those apart so you can kind of see all the little pieces here that we've got going on. And then what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna make the gnocchi. So I'm gonna take my fingers and I'm gonna kind of just rub the excess dough off of my fingers so I have somewhat clean dough fingers to play with here today. And I'm gonna take, and to make the ridges in the gnocchi, when you purchase gnocchi, there's these little pillows and they have these cute little ridges. And the ridges are not just for aesthetics. It's not just to make the gnocchi look good, but it's also to act as like a little like grabber. So whatever sauce you're making with it grabs it too. All right, I'm gonna take the gnocchi, I'm gonna roll the gnocchi here. And while I'm rolling the gnocchi, this is a good time for your baking partner, your baking buddy, to start 2 things. If you have not already turned your water on high to boil, this is a great time to do that. The other thing it's a great time to do, because it's gonna go so quick when we go to cook it, is we're gonna take and we're gonna start to melt our butter to finish off our gnocchi. And so we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of butter to a large pan, and then we're gonna turn our quart size or larger water up so that it comes to a rolling boil. And that is what we want. Now gnocchi, much like fresh pasta, does not take very long to cook at all. The actual gnocchi process is only like about a minute in boiling water, like fresh pasta, which is great because we use the instant mashed potatoes. The only thing we really gotta cook is the flour proteins, and then we have to make sure that that egg cooks all the way through that's in our dough too. And remember, boiling water, 212 degrees. Eggs cook at 140 degrees. So it does not take long for the egg inside of this dough to reach that 140 temperature that makes the eggs safe to eat also. Okay.
Mary, do you want to salt the water that you're putting your gnocchi in?
Oh, excellent cooking buddy question. Yes, Chef Lynn is right. When you're making things like gnocchi and pasta, you always want to salt your water because one, that brings up the heat point of the water so that it boils hotter, but also it helps flavor the gnocchi itself as you're cooking it. So we're gonna take this, and then once you get, I've got 1 whole lobe done of our gnocchi, and so you can see that by rolling it off the fork, you get the cute little ridges. And I'm gonna grab another piece here and I'm gonna show you what that looks like here up close and in the air so you can kind of see. So I'm just gonna grab a little nugget here of my little gnocchi. So this is just like a round pillow. You can have them like this. They are gonna taste so good either way. And I'm gonna take the back of my fork, and what I do to make the ridges is I take and I press my thumb into the dough and on the fork, and then I roll it off of the fork so that not only do you get ridges, but you also get an inside pocket for the sauce to hang out in too. And so that is a kind of the concept of making the gnocchi in there. All right, we've got boiling water. We have got our stuff ready to go. So now we're gonna drop this in and we're gonna finish up dinner. And so boiling water here, perfect. And then our frying pan is right here with our butter. So we're gonna back up our camera just a little scooch. There we go, awesome. And we're gonna put that in there. And then because this is boiling, what you're gonna do is you're gonna drop the gnocchi into the water. That does not mean from up here. If you drop from up here, you're like, I'm far away, it's gonna be fine. You'll splash yourself with boiling water. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take and we're just gonna add the little pillows into our boiling water, and you actually wanna drop them from right above the water surface. And what we're looking to do is we're gonna wait and we're gonna do this section probably in 2 batches because I don't want to add so much cool gnocchi that it stops the water from boiling. And so I'm gonna add probably about 10 pieces in here for this first batch. There we go. And then we just kind of hang out for a minute and we wait for those to float to the top of it. Now these are gonna have a 2-part finishing cook. Not only are they boiling, which would be like where you could finish it. You could just eat them boiled and that's fine too if you don't want to do the next step. But we're gonna also cook them in some boiling water or in some melted butter, and that's gonna give it even extra flavor. So the melted butter is gonna actually become the sauce for our gnocchi. And so that's why we've got our butter melting and it's getting kind of white and the milk fats are rising to the top. If you continue to cook the butter on medium and let the milk fats caramelize and sink to the bottom, you have what's called brown butter. And so if you get to that stage accidentally, you can just turn it into a brown butter sauce. If it gets black, you have a burnt sauce. Then you have to start over. But brown butter is okay. It just adds a like nutty flavor to it, and you don't need to start over at that point. As you can see, my water is really boiling here. And so I'm gonna take and I'm gonna turn that down a little bit. And I'm also gonna take my slotted spoon and I'm gonna move these around. Our butter is bubbling, I can hear it. And so I'm gonna turn that one down just a little bit also to about medium, between medium and medium low. And then what you do is you fish out your floating gnocchi and you just place them into the melted butter. And what's gonna happen is that the dough is gonna start to kind of caramelize a little bit in the butter. Any water and the sizzling you're hearing is the water is going to just pop and bubble off of it. Again, this is a grown-up helper job, depending on what age you are and what like level of stove skills you have. This is something where you can get your grown-up to help you. And then what we're gonna do right away is I'm just gonna take and we're gonna add in our next batch right here. And throw those in and let those cook for just a few minutes and they're gonna boil up here too. All right, so I promised you dinner in under an hour. And so we have got 7 minutes and you've got a 3-course meal in under an hour, including a baked dessert, a homemade salad dressing with homemade croutons, and homemade gnocchi that has been caramelized in a butter sauce. So this is a great way to make dinner with your family. And remember, if you don't want to like do it like bam, 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 and get it all done in under an hour for your family, it'd probably take less time if you weren't talking the whole time. But also, you can do these at different stages. So you could make the salad dressing ahead of time and let that hang out in your fridge. Even with the lettuce, it'll chill and hang out in the fridge for about 30 to 45 minutes before the lettuce starts to get soggy. So you can do that ahead of time. The tarts can be made a day ahead of time or 2 days ahead of time if you wanted to kind of do it and have like a baking day and then have the dinner day. And so that's kind of fun too. Grabbing my spatula, because I'm not gonna use my fingers, I'm gonna toss the butter gnocchi that's in the pan around a little bit so we get both sides of the gnocchi covered. My gnocchi that's in here is beginning to float, so the ones that are floating I'm gonna take and I'm gonna add to our melted butter. That cooking process, I mean, gnocchi is great. It's like 90% prep and 10% cooking time. And so once you get all the fun stuff done, the cooking time is nothing. And the other great part is that this gnocchi batch, like this one little like fourth of the dough makes enough for 2 people to eat. And so the rest of the dough, you can roll into gnocchi, stick on a cookie sheet and freeze. And once they're frozen, stick them in a Ziploc freezer bag and you got gnocchi ready to go anytime that you want it for 3 months. It'll last 3 months in your freezer. Make sure you date that bag. That's another chef trick. When you put something in the freezer, grab a Sharpie, throw the date on the bag of when it went in the freezer. It's very helpful for later on when you're digging things out of your freezer. Okay, doesn't take long to get these gnocchi in here. And so we've got these covered in butter. Okay, cool. Now, I like to work with everything as close to me as possible so that I'm not getting a steam facial. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my boiling water and I'm gonna move this out of the way. And I'm gonna move the pan I'm actually cooking on closest to me and put that over the heat here so that I have what I need close to me so it's not as dangerous. That's something that's important to learn. We wanna make sure that in the kitchen, anytime that you're cooking, no matter how fun it is, you have to remember that you are using tools that could be dangerous if not used correctly. And the stove is one of those awesome tools that makes cooking so much fun, but you wanna really be careful with it because no one wants to get burnt. Okay, I'm gonna pull one of these up here so you can see it on my spatula, if I can get one nice and on there. And so you can see that this is nice and golden brown, and that butter has started to caramelize, which means that the milk fats in the butter are starting to brown and cook right onto the gnocchi. And so what we're gonna do is we're just gonna take our gnocchi, and again, with my slatted spoon, I'm gonna take and we're gonna add it to our serving pasta bowl. Now, if you make all of this gnocchi, you can kind of set it up as a family assembly line. You can have some person rolling the roast, some person rolling the gnocchi, somebody putting the ridges in, somebody at the stove to cook it. And so it's just gonna come right off and get collected into this bowl. Got 3 more little gnocchis to go. And then the first thing I'm gonna do before I garnish it is I'm gonna turn my stove off. Again, for the safety of the stove, we want that to be there. And then we're gonna come over here and we're gonna go back to the kitchen and we're gonna check in on all the fun stuff that we've made today. And so we've got our lemon tarts ready to go here in just a second. We have a Caesar salad. And to finish off our gnocchi, we're gonna grab some fresh basil and my scissors. I know, you thought they weren't gonna make an appearance today, but the kitchen scissors, they're here. We're gonna take and I'm gonna roll up this gnocchi and we're gonna do a scissor chiffonade. So a chiffonade is when you cut things into ribbons, which you can do with a knife, or handy dandy scissors. I'm just gonna take and I'm gonna snip this into thin pieces over the top of my gnocchi to add that fresh herbs. And because we're using fresh herbs here instead of dried herbs, we wanna add them at the end because it smells like summertime and it smells so good. And then the other thing we're gonna add is we're gonna add a little bit of Parmesan cheese. So this is not the green canned cheese. This is the full grated Parmesan cheese, and we're gonna sprinkle the Parmesan cheese on top and get that ready to go. If you had an extra lemon or laying around too, I like to serve my gnocchi and pasta with a little bit of lemon zest on top because, well, I'm like a Southern Italian grandma in my heart. I don't know, I just love the lemon and the zest and the brightness that that brings to the finish of a dish. Also, gnocchi is typically served with either butter or like a heavier cream sauce. And so those bright basil and Parmesan cheese and lemon flavors break up the flavor profile of the heavier sauces and make the dish a little bit more well-rounded. Okay, so it's time for us to serve dinner. Our main course, our side salad, and then finally, we've got our dessert. And so our dessert is right here, ready to go. We've got our tarts out of the oven, and we've got a little bit of powdered sugar that we're gonna add onto the tops of this. And I'm gonna do this, and let me just move this out of the way here for just a second and move this so you guys can see what's going on. I'm gonna take this by taking my powdered sugar with a little tiny sifter. If you don't have a tiny sifter, you might have, like, if you're a tea drinker, those little tea bag holders also make really good tiny sifters, or you can just take your fingers and sprinkle the sugar all the way around the top, and I'm just gonna gently tap that on top of there. And Lynn, my cooking buddy, she heard me earlier, my microplane, I'm gonna take my lemon, and I'm gonna add my lemon zest to the top of my tart. And I'm also gonna add my lemon zest then onto my gnocchi because I talked about it because I'm like, now I want that. That's super, super good for dinner with all those bright flavors. And it brings, not only does it like add the flavor profiles to those individual dishes, but this also like is the lemon can be like the flavor profile that rounds out the whole dinner. So you're using an aspect of lemon in every dish, but it's not like lemon, 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 and where that's all you're gonna taste. It's just like, oh, it's a little connector that connects from your salad to your entree to your dessert. Okay, there's dinner, you guys. I cannot wait to dig in, but before I do, we are gonna announce next week's baking treat. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get an extreme close-up action here. Da, da, da. Hi. No, you don't have to. I'm gonna come to you. So we're walking around the kitchen. Here's a quick tour of the Way Cool Cooking School if you have never seen it before. Not a whole lot of tour. That's our wall of fun goodies for the rest of the kitchen. All right. So this is what we've got going on for next week here. We have got some really cool, it's a dual baking kit next week, which means you can purchase one or you can purchase both of the kits. But our first is going to be it's called April Showers Bring May Flowers kits. And so May is just around the corner and we can't wait to get out in our garden, and so we're gonna start in the kitchen. And so this is an entire cake that is covered with marshmallows dipped in sugar to create a giant chrysanthemum flower that is right there. And then what makes it the April Showers, which is kind of cool, and we left the sides undone so you can see, is that this cake, when you cut it open, will actually have April showers in the cake. And so it'll look like it's raining inside the cake with flowers on top of the cake. The second part of our kit is super cute. because you can't have April flowers without flower cookies. And so this is a cookie decorating kit, and this cookie decorating kit includes everything that you need to make shortbread flour cookie cutouts. It includes the cutters, the frosting, the butter, the flour, the sugar, but then it all comes in this really cute window box planter, and it has a pack of seeds so that when you're done baking all of your treats, not only can you enjoy delicious flour cookies, but you can also plant your very own garden with the stuff that is in the pack too. So it has a little bit of everything. And like I said, you can purchase the cake or the cookies separately, or you can bundle them together and have your own April Showers, Bring May Flowers super kit. And so we've got dinner made, and shout out to Chef Lynn. There's Chef Lynn. Hi, my cooking buddy who's been running around behind the scenes the whole time making all of this happen. So I'm going to turn you around here really quick so we can get a shout out with both of us socially distanced. As always, thank you so much for turning into the Way Cool Cooking School. Your support means so much to us, not only that you've opened up our homes, your homes to us so that we can kind of cook with you here at the Way Cool Cooking School, but it's helped us immensely too, and we really, really, really love it. Be well, be safe. And then I had one more thing I kind of wanted to share is that because we've had such a positive reach with these kits that we're offering, we're adding these kits to different aspects of our business. As all businesses are changing, we are constantly looking for fun ways that we can continue bringing cooking to you, your friends, and your family. And so you can see some of those options online. But one of them that we're really, really excited to bring is our Girl Scout programming is now going to have some kits available so that you can take that cookie money that you earned this year and you can purchase your own kits to help you earn some badges. So if that's something you're interested in, please reach out and contact us here at the Way Cool Cooking School. We love hearing from you. The spa kits are still available online, all of that fun stuff. I'm now at an hour, and so I'm going to say peace out because I will keep talking to you about food all day long because I love it so much. All right. Anything else, Lynn?
No, thank you guys for your support. We really appreciate it.
All right. Have a great day, y'all.
Bye.